The NBA Finals is finally here. We've got the Dallas Mavericks, a team that no one expected to make it out of the Western Conference, facing off against the Boston Celtics, a team that everyone expected. And here's a breakdown of everything you need heading into Game 1. Now, with a record of 64-18, the Celtics have been by far the best team in the entire NBA. Now, some people, or not some people, a lot of people have said that the Boston Celtics run in the postseason has been relatively easy. In round 1, the Boston Celtics faced the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler. Then in round 2, Donovan Mitchell got hurt. Then in the conference finals, Tyrese Halliburton also got hurt. So they basically played 3 teams without their best players for some point of the playoffs. But regardless, they made it to the NBA Finals, and they're facing a team who are hungry and motivated in the Dallas Mavericks. In the wild, wild west with all the best teams in the NBA, the Dallas Mavericks were the ones who pushed through and made it to the NBA Finals. Now, led by 26-year-old Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, who's been a topic of much discussion right now in the NBA, the Dallas Mavericks have beaten 3 50-win teams and have made it to the NBA Finals. Luka and Kyrie have played so well that it's opened up the discussion, are they the most talented backcourt in NBA history? Now, that is a conversation for another day, but heading into the finals, I do believe they are the best duo. Now, this finals is so hard to predict. Even though the Celtics have been by far the best team in the NBA in the regular season, it's been the Dallas Mavericks that have surprised everyone and emerged as maybe the best team left. Now, the Dallas Mavericks have done a complete 180 since the trade deadline. Trading for Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington not only helped their offense, but also defensively is a very underrated storyline this season. Since the trade deadline, they've had one of the best defenses in the league. And even in the playoffs, Luka Doncic is also playing defense. And this is going to be very, very key going up against this Boston Celtics offense, who are ranked number 2 in the entire league, who scored 120 points in the regular season. Now, with news that Kristaps Porzingis is going to be healthy going into Game 1 of the finals, it gives a whole new dimension to the Celtics offense. Being able to have 5 guys on the floor that can all shoot the free, their 5-out offense is going to space the floor and allow Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to operate in the paint. And once the Celtics are hitting threes, they're a tough, tough team to beat. So what can Dallas do to negate their offense? I'm focusing on Kristaps Porzingis. I believe he's going to be the X factor going into this series. And we all know Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are going to get theirs, and the Dallas Mavericks have to make it tough on them. But if Kristaps Porzingis is going to go off for 18 to maybe 22 points as a third man in the offense, then that's going to cause a lot of problems for Dallas. But with all the talk about the Celtics offense, we can't forget that the Dallas Mavericks have not 1, but 2 killers on the court. I mean, listen, Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic have showed out in these playoffs, especially in the conference finals, going against arguably the best defense in the NBA in the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Dallas Mavericks are leaders in alley-oops in the playoffs with 54 dunks as a team. The next closest team was the Denver Nuggets with 9. I mean, that stat is crazy. I mean, you're arguably talking about one of the greatest pick-and-roll players in NBA history in Luka Doncic. His ability to slow down the offense and dissect teams to get his teammates easy shot is second to none. And I believe that's one of the keys the Mavericks need to implement in order to win the series. We all know the Celtics are great at scoring the ball, but when it comes to the fourth quarter half-court offense, sometimes they do like to run in the mud. So if the Dallas Mavericks are able to slow down the pace of the game and play at Luka Doncic's pace, that could cause a lot of problems for the Celtics. And I can bet you one thing, Luka Doncic is going to target Kristaps Porzingis in the pick and roll. He went against a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year in Rudy Gobert and showed no fear in the conference finals. So believe me when I say, the Celtics need to figure out some sort of way to stop that pick and roll. Maybe they trap Luka early, or maybe they try not to switch the pick and rolls. But it's going to be interesting to see what the Celtics figure out. Now, there's so many good storylines heading into these NBA finals. We got Kyrie Irving facing off against his former team. Now look, there is some real history between Kyrie and the Celtics. Now if you don't know, after he left LeBron in Cleveland, he joined up with the Celtics in 2017. Now he did get injured and they made the conference finals where they lost in a Game 7 against LeBron James. Now heading into the next season, with Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward now healthy and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum showing so much growth at an early age, a lot of people picked the Celtics to maybe upset the Warriors in the championship. But that season did not go as planned. They ended up losing in the first round to the Bucks, and Kyrie Irving put up a stinker in those playoffs. He ended up leaving in free agency to join up with KD and the Brooklyn Nets, and the Celtics fans did not forget. So when he did return back in the 2022 playoffs against the Celtics, they let him hear it every single minute of the game. And he was giving it back to them. He was stomping on the logo, he was swearing at fans. I mean, it wasn't a pretty sight. Now heading into Game 1 and 2, the Boston Celtics fans are going to let Kyrie hear it again, believe me. Can he block out the noise? He's got the perfect running mate to do so. Luka Doncic is also another killer on the court, and he likes talking back at fans. I'm thinking by Game 2, we're going to see some sort of conflict between Luka and Kyrie and the Boston Celtics fans. Another underrated storyline also is Kristaps Porzingis facing off against his former team. Now, he did let it know on the JJ Redick podcast that he didn't really play as hard as he could in the playoffs with the Dallas Mavericks because he was unhappy with his role. And a lot of Mavericks fans, rightfully so, were very upset at this. So it's going to be interesting to see how Kristaps Porzingis plays when he does head back to Dallas. And we're also very fortunate to see two young superstars heading into their peaks playing in the NBA Finals. On one side, you have Luka Doncic, and then on the other side, we got Jason Tatum. Listen, with all the talk about who's going to be the next face of the league, with people like LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant nearly retiring, it's up for grabs, and who's going to be the one to take it? So this is a prime opportunity for one of these two players to put on a show on the biggest stage possible. Now, heading into these finals, the general consensus is that Luka Doncic is the best player, but people are disrespecting Jason Tatum too much. For me, what I see is that the hate that Jason Tatum receives is the success of his team. Listen, you can't fault the guy for playing on a great team. Even when he doesn't perform sometimes, the Celtics are still able to pull off a win. But I don't care what no one says, to me, he's still their best player and their most important. If he doesn't play at a level he needs to play at, the Celtics don't have a chance of winning the championship. And after his performance in the 2022 NBA Finals, best believe that Jason Tatum has been waiting for this opportunity again. So he's definitely going to try come out and put on a show. Now, we also have to talk about the second stars, because Jaylen Brown on the Celtics can also make a case that he's maybe the best player on the team. He's fresh off winning Conference Finals MVP, averaging 29 points against the Indiana Pacers, and he hit one of the biggest shots in that series in Game 1. Jaylen Brown isn't afraid of the moment, and with all the talk about Luka Doncic and Jason Tatum and Kyrie Irving, I do believe he's gone under the radar. Now, heading into the series, I did say that Luka and Kyrie were the best duo. You probably could say that Jaylen Brown has actually played better than Kyrie Irving in these playoffs. He's averaged more points, and you know what he brings on the table defensively as well. But personally, for me, on the biggest stage, I need some killers on the court, which is why I'm leaning towards the Mavs. Because when you have Luka Doncic, someone who has multiple game winners, and then you have Kyrie Irving as his running mate, someone who's hit one of the biggest shots in NBA history, I can't bet against them. Which is why my final pick is that the Dallas Mavericks are going to win the NBA championship in 7 games against the Boston Celtics. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the channel. I got a lot more content coming now we're in the NBA Finals, and stay tuned.